we come to now talk in terms of what are forces. Okay, so I'm referring to the personal essay section in conceptual physics by Paul J. Hewitt, where he talks about a situation where he was working part-time as a painter, and let's say that this person was Paul G. Hewitt, and this person was his painter guru, Burl Gray. Okay. Now, what they were doing was they were painting a signboard, and they were standing on a scaffolding to do that. So, a scaffolding is like a structure which has been suspended, and because this is at a height, so usually you will have the billboard like this, a very large billboard, and then there will be a scaffolding which will be placed like this, and people will be standing over there to paint the signboard, some drawing that they are making. So that picture over there is what is expanded over here. Now the essay goes, the personal essay goes that Burl Gray, who was, he was a painter by profession, but he was also a curious person who would think about what he was doing and was not just doing something for the sake of doing it. So he would, undertake certain kind of conversations and thinking processes while doing the painting. And what they were thinking about was that he'd say that the weight of these two persons, plus the weight of the cans and so on, plus the weight of the scaffolding, everything was being borne by these two ropes. Okay, and those two ropes, that they have, that they are bearing the load because they would be taut. You know the word taut?
Yeah, like very tight, no?
Yeah, like a guitar string is when you have, or a sitar string is, for example, right?
Stretched very.
So
Yeah.
the strings or the ropes are taut. So you know that they are bearing a force. For after all, the weight has to be borne by the two ropes, right? And that force that the rope experiences is a special kind of a force. We have a special name for it in physics. We call it tension. Okay, usually abbreviated to T. Yeah. Any question?
Yeah, I didn't understand how the ropes are bearing the weight of the. So this is midair.
Yeah, like this. This is the situation.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Thanks.
That looks like a dinosaur, but I thought I was drawing a car. Okay, forget it.
Car, right?
I tried to do something, it didn't work out. Okay, I should have drawn a motorcycle. That seems to more fit in with Burl Gray's character. But anyway, so this is the picture, right? Okay, the tensions are being held by. Now, both these ropes bear a certain amount of tension, okay? And we can call that T1, and over here we can call it T2. Okay. Now, Burl Gray and Paul J. Hewitt were kind of thinking out that their weights combined with the weight of the scaffolding would be equal to T1 plus T2. Is that correct? Can you follow?
How? I mean, what is T1 plus T2?
T1 plus T2, that is the tension in this rope and the tension in this rope. The weight they are bearing. If you add them up, you will get the weight of Paul G. Hewitt plus the weight of
Gray.
Burl Gray plus the weight of scaffolding. Correct? Is that right?
Sir,
Also the.
what is?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
But
Right.
The little paint cans and so on, that's also included.
yeah, that's
plus a little bit more. Plus,
Sir, I wasn't there in the beginning of the class and I don't think you recorded it. So what is BG and PGH?
Paul G. Hewitt, Burl Gray.
Names.
but like
what if like there's air?
Wait. I just want to be clear if whoever is asked that question got the point.
So they're like people's names.
Abbreviation.
Ah, and what is W?
So now the discussion goes on that, Burl Gray says, what if I walk towards your end? Okay, right now let it be that when they are standing like this, there is a certain value for T1 and there is a certain value for T2. What that is, we don't need to worry about at this point of time. But let us say Burl Gray decides to walk across towards Paul Hewitt.
T1 will have more tension.
It looks like he's running towards Paul Hewitt, but it's okay, it's fine. And he's also running in a very fair manner, but it's fine. So when he's doing that, what will happen to the values of T1 and T2?
They will less exchange.
It will exchange.
Not exchange.
No, but
Not exchange.
Paul Hewitt is not going there. Only Burl Gray is going this side.
Matt also.
Yeah, please go ahead. Anybody can answer.
Yeah, so
T1 will bear
like
the-
yeah, go on.
Sir, T1 will bear the whole thing.
No, but that hasn't happened yet.
But if he goes there, that
T1 plus X, T2 minus X.
So he's on his way.
oh that.
So
T1
wait,
plus X.
I'll tell you one condition, then maybe you can answer it better. I'm going to erase this part because that situation is over. Let us say the first situation was T1 was equal to T2. Now that Burl Gray is walking towards here, what is going to be the relationship between these two? That's all I want you to say.
Sir, can I try?
Tell.
Yeah, please.
There's no
T1 is greater than T2.
Exactly. So now
Sir.
what will happen is if T1 was equal to T2 when Burl Gray was standing here, when he starts walking, naturally the weight that is being borne by this rope is going to become greater than the weight that was being borne by this rope.
So it'll be something like T1 plus X, and X is the like the weight that was there when Bull Gray was there,
Yeah.
and T2 minus X.
Exactly. Because
Sir.
that factor X, just a moment, that factor X gets added to this side, but you can't subtract it from this side. This tension T2 will reduce by some factor. By the same factor, T1 will increase. You can say that much.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
that's
You are
what I
Please,
wanted to
yeah.
say.
T1 plus X is greater than, yeah, T2 minus X. You're right. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Somebody else wanted to make some observation.
Sir, I was going to say the same thing as Kailash.
Okay. All right. Now, let's say that Burl Gray has now reached the other side. Okay. Now, Burl Gray, oops, he changed color. Burl Gray reached this side. Okay. Now, what can you say about?
Make him hold. Hold the T1.
Well, he may or he may not. You would like him to be a little safe. Okay, I'll make him a little safe. Then,
Yeah.
now what can you say about T1 and T2?
T1, there's no weight on T2. Like there's some weight, but T1 has like the most weight.
T1 is way greater than T2.
Yeah.
So T1 is equal to T2 plus weight of BG and PG.
Very good statement. So then you can say that T1, I'm writing both statements. You can say that T1 is way greater than T2 by putting 2 greater than marks. That's how it's done mathematically. And you can also say that T1 is now equal to T1 plus the original weight T1, or rather we can say that T1 is now equal to weight of Paul G. Hewitt plus the weight of Burl Gray, plus that little bit for the, ignore the paint cans for the time being. Can
Sir, I have a question.
And scaffold.
Sir,
wait,
How
wait.
is the second situation different from the first one? I mean, from the third one.
The second situation is different from the third one, yes, because
Sir,
like somebody was saying, as he is moving across, what will happen is that X factor that somebody mentioned keeps increasing. When he's walking from this side to this side, the X factor keeps increasing until when they are both standing on this side of the platform, the weights of both these people
So,
is being counted only
second situation is when he's raste pe,
when he's crossing
when he's on the way.
on the way. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
sir,
sir,
Now can you say something about T2? Okay, now speak.
I didn't
Sir,
really get what the X factor is.
The X factor is the shifting in the weight as Ball Gray keeps moving this side. And that will keep changing. No, as he gets closer and closer, more and more of the weight will come to T1 and less weight on T2. So now in the third situation, what can you say about T2? Yeah, please speak.
sir, I have a question. It's not
Yeah.
related to this, but isn't PGH the author of conceptual physics?
Yeah. I didn't understand that. What was the question?
Sir, isn't PGH the author of conceptual physics?
Yes, sir. He started off as a signboard painter. So there is a lot of hope for you in life.
sir.
Yeah.
So actually in the book, Burl Gray took his paint and went to T1. He
Okay.
left nothing to T2.
That's okay. That's okay.
And one more question, sir. You can even write T1 is not equal to T2.
You can say that T1 is not equal to T2 anymore in this case and in this case. In this case, maybe, but Burl Gray is heavier than Paul J. Hewitt because Paul J. Hewitt just got out of high school.
Like approximately.
Yeah, approximately. That's why I didn't put
But
it.
then we
Certain.
won't know the relation.
What can you say for certain? That's what I put. So what about T2? Can somebody say now in the third situation?
Can I try?
Sorry?
Asking, can I try?
Can I?
I tried.
Yeah, please.
Maybe T2 equals to, T2 equals to weight. Yeah, T2 equals to the weight of the cans, but there's no. I
Not
don't know how to
cans.
put it.
Not both cans. Only one can.
Yeah,
And let's say
one.
that as given in the personal essay, Burl Gray is carrying his can with him. Then what can you say about T2?
T2 equals to T1 minus weight of Paul G. Hewitt plus weight of, what's his name? BG plus weight of both the cans. Basically T2 equals T1 minus all those weights.
Yeah, so if T1 is equal to all those weights, then what happens to T2? Can I say this? Yeah.
Zero.
Basically there's nothing.
Basically,
But there's the weight of half the scabbard.
yeah,
Sir, how is T2 is equal to 0?
not equal to, approximately.
Approximately.
Approximately equal to.
Because
Because there is almost
even
no weight, right?
if you just simply hang a rope like this also, the rope will have some tension in it, right? Because of its own weight.
Sir, but won't the rope have the scaffolding ka weight?
Sir, I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but when they come over here and let us say now, let's make the situation, this is approximately equal to 0, correct? So, a little bit of the weight of the scaffolding, of course, will be there on this. That is why I said approximately equal to 0. Now, what if they did something really...
Sir, but one rope can't hold the scaffolding, no. It has to be in the middle to do that. So this has at least some of the
Exactly.
Wait.
That is why approximately equal to 0. But now I'm going to show another situation, which is also shown in the book. And for that, I'll have to erase all these things.
Oh, sir. The third one, right?
Yeah, fourth situation.
Oh. This might be risky.
You get the idea?
The scaffolding will also move, like
Yeah, sir.
the whole.
Yeah, sir. This is the third one in the book.
Now, in my way of doing it, this will be the fourth situation.
Oh. Yeah.
Now, what will you say is the relationship between T1 and T2?
T2 is 0.
Now, T2 becomes 0. If you ignore the weight of the rope itself. Okay. So now we can understand why they would have discussed this situation while standing on the scaffolding. Actually, Bird Gray was giving some idea to Paul G. Hewitt, right, about safety when they are working on scaffolding. Why can't both people be on the same side of the scaffolding? What is the danger?
Because then it's going to tilt and
So one side might be
It
very
might be too heavy, so
kind
it
of rotate.
yeah.
Yeah. So the
The
danger
stick
is
might
Fall
that,
down.
first of all, the
Sir,
scaffolding. So therefore, there is a danger that the scaffolding may completely tilt over. The other danger is, of course, that T1 might become too high
Break.
and
And
break the
Exactly.
rope. If it breaks the rope, then what will happen to them?
They'll fall.
Dangle.
They'll fall on their motorcycle and damage
let
the.
him go.
sir, I'm not sure I understood why in the fourth situation
Yeah,
this thing was T2. I mean T2 was 0.
because there is no tension. Can you see the rope T2? How I have drawn it?
It's
It becomes
forcing
loose.
like upwards. It's
It's
not
not so important what
coming
So
happens
how,
to T2, but the T1 is now bearing the entire weight of the scaffolding plus the two painters plus the paint cans. So the weight on T2 becomes very high and therefore the rope might just break.
Because it has a certain
oh,
capacity.
Yeah, so if
So
it,
So basically
everything
like a
has a certain
seesaw.
capacity
yeah.
of tension, right?
correct.
Because the scaffolding will go up, so this doesn't have any tension, and then
Exactly. The scaffolding has gone up a little bit over here. So there is no tension over here. So then this is bearing all the load and it might just break. So basically, don't come to my side, you stay on your side. Neither of us should come too close to the other side, because if you do that, then you are transferring all the weight to one side. And apparently, a lot of discussions like this happened between them as they were doing this. And at the end of this process, Paul G. Hewitt thought that maybe there is something to physics and that he should then try to learn more about things. And then he left his job and joined university, taking a basic degree in the sciences, and then became the author for one of the best-selling physics textbooks of the last 2 decades. So he keeps in touch with Bird Gray. Apparently, until Bird Gray was alive, I don't know if he's still alive. And it kind of changed the course of Paul G. Hewitt's life. So that was the personal essay. But the thing is that in terms of physics, to just get this sense of things, it's not so much in terms of, we don't know anything about forces, but still we were able to see in a very practical sense how forces tend to act and why we should keep forces in mind in the simplest of tasks that we do, and what it might tell us about what we can do and what we cannot do. So that was the kind of idea of conducting that particular activity, this particular activity of looking at the scaffolding and what happens to the tension in it. So it's like now we have to give a definition of what is a force and how it is measured. We can't understand it entirely until we come to the second law, but since we have started talking about forces, let me define what is a force and let me say how we measure it. So a force is a push or a pull, and a force causes a change in the state of motion, can cause a change in the state of motion. We measure forces in newtons, which is of course
All forces.
well, in what is known as SI units. I'll talk about that also later. But in SI units, we measure force in terms of newtons in honor of the great scientist Isaac Newton. Now, how much is a newton? If you hold an average sized apple in your hand, which is about 100 grams, then gravity pulls that apple down with a force which is equal to 1 Newton. So that means the force of 1 Newton is actually a small amount of force. So that definition for the time being is sufficient. And like somebody said, if you have 2 apples in your hand and hold it, then the force that that it is applying on your hand because of gravity will be 2 Newtons, and so on and so forth.
So then gravity is equal to 1 by 100 Newton grams.
We define it in a slightly different way. We say that a force of we say that if you hold an object of mass 1 kilogram in your hand, then gravity applies a force approximately equal to 10 newtons on it. That's how we say it.